In this devotional, I'm going to share with you 3 thoughts from 1 Samuel chapter 25, verses 32 through 38, where I'll ask the question, how does providence function? First Samuel chapter 25, verses 32 through 38 says, "And David said to Abigail, 'Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. Blessed be your discretion, and blessed be you, who have kept me this day from blood guilt and from avenging myself with my own hand. For as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, who has restrained me from hurting you, unless you had hurried and come to meet me, truly by morning there had not been left to Nabal so much as one male.' Then David received from her hand what she had brought him. And he said to her, 'Go up in peace to your house. See, I have obeyed your voice, and I have granted your petition.' And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he was holding a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry with him, for he was very drunk. So she told him nothing at all until morning light. In the morning, when the wine had gone out of Nabal, his wife told him these things, and his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And about 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died." Okay, here's the situation. David had asked for Nabal's help to get some food from him for him and his men. And they had been helping to protect some of Nabal's flocks. They were helping to keep them safe because they were sort of in the same area, and David and his men were offering him this aid without really asking if he needed it, but still providing it. So he goes and he says, "Hey, when you have this feast, can we come and enjoy along with you when all of your sheep are getting sheared?" And Nabal says, "Listen, every single person thinks that they're a king these days. Everybody is an upstart. All these different folks are trying to be the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm just not participating in it. I'm going to take care of my people, take care of my shearers, and you can take care of yourself." Well, David, when he hears that, decides, "I am going to kill Nabal and all of the men in his house. I'm going to crush them because we have been helping him and he is not being very helpful back to us." And it's in this situation that Nabal's wife goes and offers David a gift that stays his hand and keeps him from exacting vengeance upon Nabal. Well, within all of this, there is an example of how God providentially works through the actions of people to accomplish his purposes. So here are 3 thoughts from 1 Samuel chapter 25, verses 32 through 38, answering the question, how does providence function? Thought number 1, God sends Abigail. When David sees Abigail and he is going to accept this gift, he says that it is the Lord who sent her to him, that it is by the Lord's provision that she saw that Nabal was making this terrible mistake, that David was going to be vengeful against them. So she took it upon herself to take this gift and to bring it to him. But David recognizes that it is, in fact, the Lord who sends Abigail to help him. Even though we don't have any indication that Abigail had some sort of prophetic vision or anything like that taking place, what essentially is happening is Abigail realizes Nabal made a mistake, so she is going to try and correct that to keep David and his men happy. Thought number 2, God restrains David. David explains that by Abigail's actions that the Lord caused also him to restrain from this act of violence against Nabal and his entire group of people that he had there with him. God restrains David and prevents him from taking on this blood guilt that he would have had from acting in vengeance. David doesn't say that he himself prevented the blood guilt. He says that God has done it. He doesn't say that it is his own remarkable ability to calm himself down that kept him from enacting vengeance. No, he says that it was God, that the Lord himself restrained him. And this is God acting providentially, sort of behind the scenes, behind the curtain, to bring about his purposes in the world. Thought number 3, God strikes Nabal. So Nabal has his feast, and at his feast he gets drunk. And when Abigail sees him, she's like, "I'm not going to tell him right now what's going on. I'm just going to wait for a little bit." And then after Nabal is recovered a little bit from his drunkenness the next day, he tells her precisely what she has done, that she has taken a gift down to David, and that because of that, David is not going to come up and kill them. And when Nabal hears this, it says his heart is turned to stone. So something is happening to him. Something happens to him where he is just not the same. And then 10 days later, God strikes Nabal. And we don't really know what is going on with that either. It doesn't describe it any further, but it almost seems like when Nabal hears this, he is sick and then he dies. And the way that it gets interpreted by those around is that God struck Nabal dead because he had not done what was right, which would be to honor David's request and invite him and his men to the feast and be charitable with them. All of this is God working out his purposes in the world. David, his chosen man, is prevented from committing this crime, this act of vengeance against Nabal. Abigail is sent by God to do it. And this is how David interprets all of these things taking place. That God is working, even though people think that they're making all of their own decisions without any outside influence. These three thoughts come to you from the assigned reading of 1 Samuel, chapters 21 through 25. If you'd like to read through the Bible with me, you can do so by subscribing to this channel, by clicking on the link in the description, or by joining the Facebook group Through the Bible, where we are reading the text of Scripture together.